you put like when you make cookies, I mean, that takes a lot of oil, a lot of.
If you make cookies with a lot of oil in them.
Well, what cookies do you make that?
Any cookies I make don't have any oil in.
Well, they're not cookies, and they're more cakey or muffiny or something.
Really
What?
crunchy cookies, yeah. I mean, it might have like 3 tablespoons of like peanut butter or almond butter. I use sun butter usually because it's more neutral. So if you don't want to taste peanut butter or whatever, but that's enough to make them, to give them that density and the crunchiness or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's oil. What are you talking about? That's all
Well,
oil.
3 tablespoons of sun butter, an entire batch of cookies is like a tablespoon of oil. I mean, 3/4 cup is a lot. Yeah.
Well, whatever. Okay, I know you're not making them, so I told you to ignore the recipe anyway. Anyway, you're not starting out. You're not starting out our new.
I was.
You were complaining about my cookie recipe, which
That was in a private text between you and me. You brought.
well, why don't you tell our fans and supporters, which I think number 1 or 2 maybe, what we're doing. Hi, Santiago.
We're calling you out.
And thank you for being a fan. We
Our
promise to do better. Now that we know that somebody's actually listening, we promise to do better.
We're gonna try.
We're gonna try. Yeah, I can't make any promises, but so Wes had this sort of brilliant idea last week, and I thought it was inspired, and we thought we'd kind of shake things up a little bit because we get tired of trying to come up with things to talk about real estate wise, but we love talking about the good things that are happening in the world. So we're changing our
A new year.
yeah, it's a new year and
We're doing things different.
we're doing things a little differently. Wes has a new haircut that looks very nice. Even though he doesn't like my cookie recipe, I can still say nice things about him. I don't know who labors under the illusion that cookies are healthy to begin with, but
Not me. Except for the ones that I make.
your cookies are healthy.
Yeah, they are.
So it defeats the purpose of having a cookie, doesn't it?
Not when it tastes good. That's the purpose of having a cookie. The purpose of cookie is that I don't think is to eat a bunch of eggs and oil. I think it's to taste good.
Okay, all right, fine. So why don't you tell people about the good stuff and what we're doing?
I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
No, I finished.
Oh, well, I thought you were telling what we're doing.
No, I
I was
wanted
gonna
you to tell them it was your inspired idea. I wanted you to tell them.
Well,
Okay,
the idea
all right,
was
kids, quit bickering now.
for my 5th attempt to tell you. We're calling it the good stuff. Because we're wanting to talk about all the good stuff, whether it's regarding real estate or stuff going on in town or stuff that we've found in, around, or just things happen to us or whatever, the good stuff, and trying to stay on the positive side of things, especially since there's, been a lot of negativity and stuff regarding the market and real estate and all that. And it's all just, hearsay anywhere, or not hearsay, but projections and stuff. None of it's, at least right now, none of it's reality anyway. So, and we all kind of live in our own world, and Mary and I each have our own market, and kind of no matter what is going on in the general market, it doesn't mean that's what's going on in our neighborhood or our community or our business in general. So it's always been that way. It's never, completely reflected, the market. But anyway, so yeah. One of the things why I just came from, I made Mary push the callback today because Stump actually had to run a couple of errands and pick something out of a store, and we had to take Oki to pick up a medicine and stuff. But there was an errand we needed to run over by Nordstrom, and the store didn't open till 11. But we've been wanting to test this out since the weather's changed, because I was getting Oki out, my dog, most every day for a nice long walk, which was good for both of us. But after the weather's changed, it's been more difficult to do that, although we got out 3 or 4 times last week. If it gets cold and windy, it's not worth getting sick, either one of us sick. And if it's, raining and stuff, it's just not worth it. But the North Bridge Mall over off Michigan Avenue, where Nordstrom is, allows dogs, like I guess a lot of them do. All Nordstroms, evidently, I looked this up a while back, all Nordstroms allow dogs throughout the store. But that mall does. Of course, individual stores can say they don't, but the mall does. And we thought, well, what a great idea to go. We haven't been in there in a while anyway, to kind of go walk the mall. So we just kind of park at the back of Nordstrom, come in the back, and just, each floor just did circles of every level of the store and the mall and stuff. And it was really kind of nice. And we were like discovering new stuff. And a lot of it's shut down right now. The whole 3rd floor of the mall is almost completely empty.
Wow.
But a lot of it, there was stuff going on in a lot of other parts too, though. So, but
It's a really lovely mall. It's probably been, well, over 5 years since I've been there, I think.
Yeah. And Stump's office used to be just a couple blocks away, so he used to go there all the time for lunch and everything. But they moved to the Hancock, like, I don't know, 8 or 10 years ago, so he just hasn't been around there.
The building formerly known as Hancock.
Yeah. 75 North Michigan Avenue. It's everybody else.
So I think we should mention a little bit about Martin Luther King Day. I was listening to the radio yesterday, and yesterday was his 94th birthday, which really surprised me because I said he was older than that. Well, so I did a little looking up about it, and actually he was only 39 years old when he was assassinated, which is kind of stunning. I don't know why. I was just a kid, of course, when all that
I think everybody seems older when we're kids, that that seems much older.
But
yeah.
he became president of the Southern, what is it called? The Southern Christian Leadership Conference, when he was like 26 years old, which is stunning to me. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. Not really, but you know what I mean. It's like a young kid like that to have that sense of mission and purpose. Of course, his father apparently was also a Baptist minister and was very involved in the civil rights movement. So, I'm sure he came into it, quite young, probably even as a teenager. I suppose he knew that's what he wanted to do. But I just think it's pretty darn impressive. And they have a full page article in the Tribune this morning about the year that he came to Chicago. Remember, you wrote a thing about it last year and had a lot of positive reaction. He came to Chicago because he felt like there was a pretty strong organization here already in place that he could help strengthen, and whereas I guess New York City, for instance, was just kind of a hot mess, and he didn't want to get involved in their politics. And
well, it was regarding housing rights.
But it was regarding housing rights. He came here to showcase what?
Nothing.
Oh.
I blew a hair off my keyboard.
Oh, okay. He came to Chicago, and he lived in a what does it say? He lived in a small apartment, which would be equivalent to an $800 a month, rent today. He was paying
with his whole family. That's why I don't think he moved his family here. He just didn't come and stay. Yeah,
no, he was here for a year, but they say that he actually wasn't here, but maybe I guess he was here 3 or 4 days a week. He didn't live here full time, but it was in North London.
He would have been anywhere full time.
Well, right. He rented an apartment at 1550 South Hamlin. This was in 1966 in North Lawndale, and he was paying $90 a month. And he always kept his door open. Anybody that wanted to just drop in and talk to him, his door was open, and he would sit on the floor because he didn't want to seem uppity, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, but and people were really impressed with his humility and willingness to just have his door open. And I don't know, it was of course, that was the old Mayor Daley, the Richard J. Daley, and who felt that Martin Luther King was threatening his power and his regime. So he did not appreciate his coming here. But I think it was pretty remarkable what he did. And they say, some people feel like his year of living here perhaps wasn't successful because it didn't. I mean, we're still dealing with affordable housing issues today, and
Well, affordable, yeah. I think his was more along the lines of rights, rights for racial rights and stuff in housing. So fair housing as opposed to just affordable, but it was both. But there was a lot of, you can imagine how much different it was then with the fair housing rights in the city.
Oh, I'm sure redlining was just standard operating procedure, where
But supposedly a lot of Chicago's, not just the, well, it started here, but a lot of the things that made it to the federal bill, was it Title VIII, which one came after that, regarding housing rights, came from his mission here in Chicago.
The 1968 Fair Housing.
Yeah,
right.
Was that Title VIII or was that the other one? I think it was Title VIII.
Oh, well, you know what? I could get my books out and look it up, but I'm not doing that right now.
Say stop.
Stop.
I know how that goes.
We have to know this stuff. I always when I have to do my continuing ed, I always pull that stuff out and memorize the dates, and then of course so I can pass the test and then promptly forget. Like, really, do I really need to memorize the dates? But yeah, they ask that stuff, so you have to memorize the dates, and then of course I immediately forget. What?
But at least for a day.
At least for a day. And then the next time it comes around, I pull my books out and memorize the dates again, because the important to me, the important part are the concepts, not the date that the legislation or the name of the legislation. It's the idea that you can't do that stuff, right? So
when I did the research for that article last year, I came across a great picture too. I don't know if you saw that, with of MLK and his family. No, this is one of him looking out of the window. The whole family was leaning out the windows of their like second or third story apartment that they were renting down there in North Lawndale. And they were all like looking out, hanging outside the windows, looking down at the camera, smiling and stuff. But it was a really cool pic with it, in an obviously Chicago building and stuff. And I thought it was a really, I don't know why I'd never seen it before, but it was a really, I thought, special photograph.
How many kids did he have?
I think there were 3, but it may have just been 2.
Well, Coretta, his wife, Coretta, died in 2006, but apparently she had some health issues, and she had a heart condition, and because I got to reading about her too, and she of course carried on, and they met apparently in college. That's how they were both very active in the civil rights movement, and of course after he was assassinated, she was really the leader and kept the movement going. So hats off to Coretta too. But she was like 80. She wasn't very old. She was like 82. I mean, she wasn't like ancient, she was 82 or something when she passed, but she had some heart issues, and then she had ovarian cancer, and this is sort of bizarre. She checked herself into a clinic in Mexico for some apparently experimental treatment that wasn't approved here in the US. And she died there. And after she died, then they flew her body back. And of course, there was a huge ceremony, memorial service, and like 100,000 people showed up or something like that for her more. But then they started looking into this clinic where she died. And apparently they weren't properly licensed to do any of the stuff that they were doing. So
That doesn't sound like the good stuff at all.
oh, that's right. But I mean,
That doesn't sound like the good stuff at all, Mary.
it isn't good stuff. But I just thought it was really interesting that
We're gonna have to put a device on each other that we can shock each other when you're going.
But I mean, she, I don't think she gets as much credit. I mean, I guess my point is that she in her own right was a leader of the civil rights movement and was instrumental in his work and in carrying on his work. And of
Good
course,
save.
what?
Good save.
All right. So anyway,
I thought it was interesting though with regarding the fair housing stuff that, like you said, as much as we've had to learn that and remember stuff for all those tests every couple of years and everything is for decades that we've been doing this. I never heard about his involvement in that, specifically out of Chicago, and then how that organization and their housing efforts, their fair housing efforts here in Chicago. And I don't remember the exact correlation at the time, but I don't remember if it was people involved in that organization that became part of the group that wrote the legislation for the federal amendment there. But there was a connection to it all to MLK and that specific organization he was working with and their objectives here in Chicago on what became that very, the legislation that's such a basis of our industry now.
well, you had a client that's very involved in that contacted you after you wrote that article, who talked to you about it, right? Didn't you? We shared some insights with you.
I think you're thinking of a different one, but
oh, okay. But anyway, one of the things in this article, it says, many people consider his time living here was not a success because it didn't really, because Mayor Daley sort of threw up barricades and wood.
They went over his head, went all the way to the federal government. So,
but that's what this guy, this fellow's writing a book about him. That's why they're talking. I mean, besides the fact that it's Martin Luther King Day, he's written a book and that's coming out in May about his life. And but he actually did lay out a blueprint, and Mayor Daley or the people, the powers that be at the time, decided not to pursue it. But so in that regard, you can only do what you can do. But he did set it up, and as you say, was instrumental in passing the fair housing laws and whatnot. So yeah. Well, anyway, on that note, we'll try to keep it as positive as possible and share the good stuff. And if you have an idea or something you want us to talk about, we're always open. Put something in on our Facebook page or wherever you happen to find us, and hopefully we'll see it. Or you can always just direct message us. That always works too.
you see Mary suddenly grimace on the call. It's because I shocked her.
All right, everybody. Have a good week, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.